What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to
Wrasslin Wruckus, baby!
So, to follow up my last video where I took my shot at predicting the first ever Women's United States Champion, I thought it'd be only right to now predict my first ever Women's Intercontinental Champion. So let's get right into it, shall we? So at the very start of my list, I'm going to throw out a pretty obvious one. I think a lot of people were expecting Lyra Valkyria to get her hands on this belt. Why? Well, she's very talented. We all know this. She was a standout in NXT, and I want to say she started off really strong on Raw, the main roster, especially during the Queen of the Ring tournament. But since she's kind of been an afterthought, and I think that it's nothing to do with her personally. It's just booking, right? So this would definitely give her something to do, and I think that she will likely be a world champion someday. So this Intercontinental title could work hand in hand the same way that the men's Intercontinental titles always worked as a sort of stepping stone to the world championship, right? So I think Lyra would be a pretty good pick. Next, another obvious one I've been hearing a lot is none other than Io Sky. What can I say? A lot of what I just said about Lyra is the same with Io. She's just immensely talented. I'm recording this just post War Games. She was hands down the star of the show with that insane backflip off the top of the War Games cell inside of a trash can. You know, Io has just always proven to be among the best, if not the best, in the women's roster, Raw or SmackDown. And former world champion, I think she downright deserves it because she is always consistent and always dependable to put on an amazing match. So Io would be a great pick. Next, I haven't really seen anyone say this much, but if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. This being Raquel Rodriguez. Now you might think, okay, she's not especially impressive in the ring. She tends to botch a lot. These things are true. But she is aligned with Liv Morgan, who is aligned with the Judgment Day. And there's been this thing about factions having gold in WWE the last couple years. So I could see a heel angle where Liv's got the World Championship and Raquel's got the Intercontinental, and they're just hoarding them. They're holding on to them, not letting anybody get their hands on those belts, right? And then, you know, obviously JD and Finn still have the men's tag titles on Raw. So at this, you know, if she was to get her hands on it, Judgment Day would just be flush with gold. And it seems like WWE is still interested in propping up Judgment Day, even though it's very, very late in the game for them. But I would not be shocked if Raquel got her hands on the belt just through, like, cheating means. Or at the very least during a tournament for it, I could see some cheating to get her through the tournament, maybe into the finals. But we'll see what happens. Next, let's see. I'm going to go with Zelina Vega, because same reason I said with Io, to a lesser extent, I think Zelina is a very consistently good wrestler on the women's roster. She would also bring gold to the LWO, which I believe has no gold at the moment. Alright, last one on the roster currently for me is going to be Dakota Kai. Now, Dakota has had this kind of like this up and down with her career, right? Like, she's very talented, but she tends to get injured a lot, and that sucks. And I feel like it's definitely making her less likely to win it because the company has a history of not putting belts on people who are injury prone because it's just kind of a risk for them. But I think it would be nice for Dakota to get some gold around her. If not now, like as the inaugural champion, maybe down the road you could run back Damage Control. You could have Io versus Dakota for the belt. That'd be cool. Yeah, I think we'd all be down for that. And yeah, you know, I think it would just add a little prestige to her career, which at this point is, I feel like it's kind of missing that. Really, the theme of most of the women on this list is that they need that stamp, that thing that says they are a main eventer, they are worth investing time into as a character, as a wrestler, right? That's what a belt does. It says, hey, you know, pay attention to me. I am working my butt off 300 plus days a year, right? So, hey, I'm rambling, sorry. Alright, so that's all the... Oh no, I'm sorry, there's one more on the main roster. This one's a shot in the dark, but I'm going to go with Shayna Baszler. I like Shayna a lot. I've always been a huge fan of her physicality. And the same reason I thought that Piper Niven would make a good U.S. champion is the same reason Shayna with the Intercontinental Women's Championships, because she's so dominant. She could go on just a killing spree, right? Just absolutely annihilating anyone that gets near her belt. Chokes them out, right? Just vicious. And not to mention, I think the pure Fusion Collective is not exactly succeeding. I think most would say it's a failed project. And herself and the other two there. Hell, I would throw Sonya and Zoe on this list too. I think any of them would make for good champions. They're all mean, tough girls, tough women. That could make for very convincing champions. So any of those three, but especially for me, Shayna Baszler could be a good inaugural Intercontinental champion. All right, so those are all the people that are currently on the roster. However, there are a couple women I think could potentially make a surprise return and just, you know, do some business. The first one, I think this is not surprising to anyone, being the GOAT, Charlotte Flair. I think a lot of people are actually expecting this, that she will likely come back and swoop that belt up. And so I think people are split on how they view that decision if Charlotte was to be the inaugural champion. I think half of the community, or probably more than half, would view it as a slant to the up-and-coming talent that could desperately use the rub of being the first IC Women's Champion, which I think is a fair point. However, some people, and I kind of believe this myself, that if Charlotte was to be the inaugural champion, it would instantaneously put prestige on that belt. The same way the same way Seth Rollins put prestige on the World Heavyweight Championship. You know, I think it's nothing bad about having a big name like Charlotte Flair hold on to that belt and treat it like a big deal, right? Treat it like it is the bee's knees, it is the top prize, right? The upper echelon. So Charlotte would not necessarily be a bad decision. Now, I don't personally want her to be the inaugural champion, but I think it's a strong possibility. Which brings me to my last pick. Another female wrestler that has been away for a little while that I would love to see return and get her hands on that belt. That being Alexa Bliss. Alexa's been gone for a while now. We don't know when she's coming back, but we're fairly certain she is coming back. I could see her doing a surprise return on Raw, entering herself into the tournament and just going all the way through. You know, Alexa, for years now, has been one of the consistently best women's wrestlers on the roster. And it would just be a good little stamp of approval for her in her return. Like, hey, she's back as a force, not just to put over young talent and be a jobber, right? So I think Alexa would be cool. Heck, you could even have Alexa versus Charlotte in the finals for the IC Championship. That would be great. So yeah, that's the list for me, guys. Every female wrestler I think that is likely to become the inaugural IC Women's Champion. Now, as far as who do I think is the most likely, I gotta say the most likely is probably either Charlotte or Lyra Valkyria. I think one of those two are the most likely to be the inaugural winner. However, who would I personally pick as the first? I think I would go with... I think I'd go with Io Sky. I think Io has proven herself a million times over, and she deserves it, you know. She's a great women's champion, a great angle of Bayley, and I think give her this too, you know. Give her that accolade. I think she was tag champion, right? So this would make her a Grand Slam champion. So I think she definitely deserves it. And if she doesn't win it, I think she's going to win the Women's Rumble. That's totally out of left field prediction, but I'm saying it here. Yeah, that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments who you think will be the first ever inaugural Women's Intercontinental Champion. Comment your predictions down below. Let me know what you think, guys. And yeah, hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing who's going to get that gold. All right, y'all. Peace out.